November 7th, 2025, midday. The cruise ship Carnival Horizon is wrapping up its 6-day Caribbean voyage and heading toward Miami. For nearly 4,000 guests, these are the final hours of leisure before disembarkation. On Deck 8, a cabin steward following the schedule uses her electronic keycard to unlock cabin 8341. It's time to prepare the room for checkout. Inside, all is quiet. The woman begins her routine, collecting used towels, then approaches the king-size bed. Right away, something seems off. The warm blanket is missing from the mattress. Curious, she kneels down and peers into the shadowed space between the floor and the bed frame. There, lying in the dark, is a large, heavy shape. It turns out to be a human body tightly wrapped in the very blanket that should have covered the bed. Over the bundle, someone has deliberately piled several life jackets as if to hide it from any glance. In the next instant, the steward rushes into the corridor over the ship's public address system across all 15 decks. The captain's voice booms. "Ladies and gentlemen, Alpha Code in cabin 8341. In maritime speak, that means a medical emergency. Security personnel and the ship's doctors sprint toward the elevators. Among them is Christopher Keppner, the father of those who had occupied this room. He doesn't yet realize that medical aid inside won't be needed. To the nearly 4,000 passengers aboard Carnival Horizon, the captain's announcement sounded like a final call, the end of a celebration. The music by the pool decks faded. While medical assistance often signals a heart attack or other common illness on a cruise, the urgency and commotion on Deck 8 revealed the grim reality. From that moment, the ship ceased to be a resort and became an isolated crime scene drifting in international waters. There was no escape. Security sealed off the corridor outside the Keppner family's cabin. On Deck 8, neighbors received sealed notices under their doors. Management provided no details, only a warning that authorities would soon board, and a hint that there might be noise. Guests were asked to vacate their cabins by 7 a.m. the next day so the investigation could proceed uninterrupted. The hallway turned into a sterile zone. Even stewards who weren't part of the security detail were barred from entering. The situation was further complicated by jurisdiction. Because the incident took place at sea, only federal agents, not local police, could take up the investigation. The crew's only role was to guard the cabin's perimeter and wait until the ship reached its home port. The criminal, whoever he was, remained locked inside the steel hull of the vessel, along with thousands of potential witnesses and victims. November 8th, morning, the Carnival Horizon slipped into the port of Miami. The usual disembarkation routine was interrupted. Instead of letting vacationers off the ship, the crew deployed the gangway for a group of agents from the FBI. The feds boarded with gear for gathering evidence. They were racing against time. The ship followed a tight schedule, and new passengers were due to board for the next voyage soon. Investigators had to document the state of the cabin, retrieve camera footage, and interview key individuals before the vessel set sail again. Anna Keppner's body was among the first taken off the ship, sent directly to the medical examiner's office. Hey everyone, before we dive into today's story, I just want to ask you to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment down below. I put a lot of effort into bringing you real, true crime cases from all around the world, only authentic stories here. Your support really helps the channel grow, and I truly appreciate any interaction. To grasp the scale of what was lost, we have to rewind and look at who walked into that cabin. Anna Keppner was far from what people imagine when they think of a helpless victim. An 18-year-old graduate from a Christian school, she had a level of physical training that many grown men would envy. Since the age of 2, she had been studying gymnastics, and in high school, she became a cheerleader. In practical terms, this meant not mere dancing, but intense acrobatics, requiring iron-strong muscles and lightning reflexes. Anna was used to tough workouts and strict discipline. Her skills extended well beyond the school gym. Living in Florida, she felt equally at home on the water and under it. By the time she turned 18, Anna already had a motorboat license and an official diving certificate that painted a picture of someone capable of keeping their cool under extreme pressure. Her future plans matched that character. After her graduation in May 2026, Anna intended to enlist in the U.S. Navy and then join law enforcement as a canine officer. She was preparing to protect others, not to be rescued herself. But a week before boarding the ship, something broke in Anna's life, something that played out publicly. On October 26th, Anna posted a series of messages on TikTok, their tone sharply contrasting with her usual upbeat content. The posts spoke of lies, manipulation, and betrayal. "I don't know why I had to go through this," she wrote, "but I promise I didn't deserve it." 4 days later, on October 30th, she posted another brief status. "You deserve happiness, but if you're not with me, then I don't want anything." Those words were addressed to her boyfriend, Joshua. The two had broken up just before the trip. Originally, Joshua was supposed to sail with the Keppner family, but after their split, his ticket was canceled. Anna went on the cruise alone, apparently leaving the drama on shore. As it turned out later, the tension came from more than just a breakup. To understand how such a tragedy could unfold behind a locked door, you need to look at the complicated makeup of the Keppner family. Anna's father, 40-year-old Christopher, had married for the third time in December 2024. His new wife, Chantel Hudson, brought 3 school-age stepchildren into the family. Less than a year before the cruise, 2 independent households merged under one roof. The 9 individuals who boarded the ship were essentially still navigating the rough edges of blending their lives together. For the group's booking, 3 separate cabins were reserved on Deck 8. The first went to the older generation, Grandma Barbara and Jeffrey. The elderly couple had a spacious 4-berth stateroom with 2 empty beds. The family had made a clear plan. If any of the younger ones needed space or privacy, or if a disagreement came up, they could always spend the night with Grandma and Grandpa. The second cabin housed Christopher and Chantel, along with their 2 younger daughters. The most controversial decision concerned the third cabin, number 8341. In that small space of just a few square meters, 3 young people were assigned to live together alongside 18-year-old Anna, where her biological younger brother, 14-year-old Connor, and stepbrother Tim, 16. The layout offered no privacy. Anna occupied the main king-size bed, while the boys slept on a bunk bed facing it. In such tight quarters, the teens, effectively thrown together when 2 separate households merged less than a year before the cruise, spent every night of the 6-day trip packed into that tiny cabin. On the evening of November 6th, after the ship completed a stop at Cozumel, Mexico, it began its 2-day voyage back to Miami. At 7 p.m., the entire 9-person family gathered in the ship's dining room for a farewell dinner. But for Anna, the group dinner didn't last long. She felt a sudden, sharp discomfort in her mouth, braces causing pain, and told Grandma she needed to head back to the cabin. She stood from the table and left alone, walking toward their rooms. Around 9 p.m., Anna resurfaced in the public areas of the ship. She seemed to be feeling better. She changed from her casual daytime clothes into a nicer evening outfit, then headed down to the casino where Grandma Barbara and Grandpa Jeffrey were already seated. Anna sat down across from them at the gaming table. She even placed a $20 bet. She lost. The chips went to the house. That casino visit turned out to be Anna's last documented contact with her older relatives. After losing, she didn't linger. As she stood to leave, she said to the seated couple, "Grandma, I love you guys. See you later." At exactly 10 p.m., Anna left the gaming area, called the elevator, and returned to Deck 8. The electronic lock registered the cabin door opening. Moments later, the door clicked shut, cutting her off from the corridor. She never came out again. Shortly after Anna returned, her younger brothers Connor and Tim also came back to cabin 8341. But all 3 young people were together only for a few minutes. Connor decided he wasn't ready for bed just yet. He changed clothes and stepped out, intending to take some nighttime photos of the ship and a few selfies on the upper decks. The door closed behind him, leaving just Anna and Tim in the confined cabin. From that moment until midnight, what happened inside remains unseen. The surveillance cameras only covered the hallway. All that's known for certain is Connor was gone for about 2 hours, wandering the ship, filming content for social media, and returned around midnight. Entering the cabin, Connor immediately noticed his sister's bed was empty. The king-size bed where Anna should have been was unmade. She was nowhere to be found, neither in the main area nor on the tiny balcony. The bathroom was empty too. Connor didn't panic. He figured she might have gone back to Grandma and Grandpa's at the casino, returned to their parents' cabin, or just got caught up with new friends out on one of the open decks. Finding nothing to worry about, he climbed into his own bunk and went to sleep. All through the night, the cabin was silent. Anna's biological brother slept mere feet away, unaware that she never left the room. In fact, she remained in the cabin the entire time. The next morning, Friday, November 7th, the family gathered for breakfast in the ship's dining hall as usual. 8 of them sat around the table. Connor showed up on time and joined the meal, but Anna's seat stayed empty. The adults assumed she was still recovering from the brace-related tooth discomfort she'd complained about the evening before, and decided not to wake her, letting her sleep a little longer before docking. Over coffee, nobody had any suspicion that by that moment, Anna Keppner was already gone. As soon as Anna's body was transported to the Miami-Dade County morgue, medical examiners began the autopsy. The external examination delivered a shocking result. There were no signs of a struggle on Anna's skin, no stab wounds, no bullet holes, not even the kind of abrasions you'd expect if someone fought back against an assailant. Toxicology came back clean too. No alcohol, no prohibited substances, no strong prescription medication capable of impairing her will. Investigators also ruled out sexual assault. There was no trace of intimate contact and no foreign DNA under Anna's nails. That narrowed the possible explanations. This crime didn't result from a drunken fight or an attack by a predator encountered on board. The cause of death lay not without, but within. The official conclusion was mechanical asphyxia. On Anna's neck were 2 deep bruises, indicating her airway had been constricted by a powerful forearm lock from behind. In combat sports, this move is known as a chokehold. The attacker locks from behind, cutting off any chance to breathe or scream for help. But the most controversial detail in that report was the time of death. According to the medical examiner's certificate, Anna died on November 7th at exactly 11:17 a.m. That one timestamp instantly created a logical paradox, one that still haunts outside observers. If that document is accurate, Anna was still alive that morning. That means during the family's breakfast, at the moment Connor woke up and left the cabin, his sister was still conscious somewhere on the ship. But that version collides with witness statements and with common sense. No one saw Anna after about 10 p.m. the previous evening. She didn't answer messages, she didn't come down for breakfast, and she didn't open the door when stewards knocked. The gap between the time she effectively vanished and the officially recorded time of her death stretches over 12 hours. Investigators now faced a crucial question. Was that 11:17 a.m. timestamp on the death certificate really the moment her heart stopped? Or did the medical examiner simply record the time when the body was formally examined long after an alarm had been raised? That bureaucratic detail changes the entire shape of the case. Probing a crime on a modern cruise ship has its own rules. It's a zone of total digital surveillance. The Carnival Horizon, launched in 2018, is outfitted with an extensive network of high-definition video cameras. While there are so-called blind spots on deck, areas not covered by cameras, the residential corridors are not among them. The corridor in front of the cabins on the 8th deck is monitored around the clock with cameras that continuously record video and audio. Federal agents immediately confiscated the servers storing the footage from the night of November 6th to 7th. At the same time, technical specialists requested the logs from the ship's electronic locks. Without a personal keycard, the cabin door cannot be opened from the outside unless someone inside lets a guest in. Every time a card is scanned, the door's system records a digital trace, the unique ID of the passenger and the exact second of entry. By matching the surveillance video with the electronic key data, investigators reconstructed the movement in that cabin that night with absolute precision. The cameras recorded Anna entering the cabin at 10 p.m. Moments later, her brothers followed. Then the cameras caught Connor stepping out of the cabin for a photo walk and returning around midnight.
The most important conclusion drawn by the FBI from hours of footage was the utter seal of the cabin. From the moment Anna returned until morning, no outsider crossed the threshold. The lock log showed no successful entry by anyone else. That finding fundamentally changed the status of the investigation. The idea of a burglar breaking in or a stray predator roaming the corridors was completely dismissed by the technical evidence. The sealed crime scene meant only one thing.
Whoever harmed Anna was inside the locked cabin. The circle of suspects, once 4,000 strong, was instantly narrowed to those who had legitimate access to the room and were present that night. The central figure for the investigators became 16-year-old Tim Hudson, Anna's stepbrother. As soon as the ship docked in Miami and passengers began disembarking, authorities isolated him from the family. He wasn't formally arrested. Instead, he was immediately taken to a local hospital for psychiatric evaluation. The reason behind that decision was never disclosed by law enforcement, citing medical confidentiality and the minor status of the individual. Tim's behavior in the first hours after the body was discovered and during questioning was completely detached. According to Grandma Barbara Keppner, once he was released from the hospital, Tim told the family he had a blackout of memory. He claimed he had no recollection whatsoever of that night's events and felt emotionally shocked. After a brief observation, the doctors let him go. And now Tim lives at the home of a relative, awaiting the next steps from prosecutors. For 19 days after the incident, the FBI kept silent, not naming anyone. But in court documents that later leaked to the press, Tim Hudson's status was changed from witness to potential suspect. The reason was the surveillance footage confirming that during the critical time window, he was the only awake person in the cabin, alone with Anna. The father of the victim, Christopher Keppner, adopted a harsh stance despite the family ties. In an interview, he said, "I can't say he's guilty, but I can't rule it out either. He was the only one in the cabin, and if he's responsible, I want him to answer for what happened. That's what I'm fighting for." While official documents recorded a mourning time of death, outside witness statements painted a much darker portrait of that night. The key information came from Joshua, Anna's former boyfriend. He reached out to the FBI himself to share details of a private conversation he had with her biological brother, Connor. It turned out that 14-year-old Connor knew more than the first Bear report suggested. According to Joshua, Connor told him that he tried to return to the cabin before midnight. He swiped his electronic key, but the door was locked from the inside with a mechanical latch that couldn't be opened from the hallway. Sounds of a struggle were heard, accompanied by the voice of Tim Hudson. Connor distinctly heard his stepbrother shouting at Anna aggressively. The phrase that came through the door was unambiguous: "Shut up, damn it." Connor wasn't able to get inside at that moment and apparently didn't consider the argument fatal. He decided to wait the conflict out on the deck. When he finally returned around midnight, the cabin was quiet and Anna was gone from sight. These details completely demolished the theory that Anna was alive until 11:17 a.m. the next morning. If Joshua's story is true, the violent confrontation and likely the crime happened during the night. When asked why the biological brother remained silent about the scream heard that night, Joshua gave a chilling answer. He claims the FBI agents forbade Connor to discuss what he saw and heard, threatening him with arrest for interfering with a federal investigation. The former boyfriend's testimony shed light not only on the timeline of that night's tragedy, but also on a twisted dynamic within the new blended family. Joshua described Tim's behavior toward Anna as an unhealthy obsession. He told FBI investigators about a specific incident witnessed during a FaceTime call several weeks before the cruise. During their conversation, Tim Hudson walked into Anna's room and reportedly attempted to physically assert himself over his stepsister on the bed, completely ignoring the fact she was on a video call with him. After that incident, Anna drastically changed her routine. She started avoiding overnight stays at her father's house, choosing instead to stay with school friends whenever she could. She openly told those close to her that she felt threatened and didn't want to be left alone with her new relatives, people she had known for less than a year.
Her fears were intensified by one disturbing detail. According to Joshua, Tim had a habit of carrying a knife with him at all times, and although Anna's death resulted from asphyxiation, the presence of a weapon on her stepbrother made the home environment feel constantly unsafe. Life in the Titusville house was further strained by the behavior of the adults. Sources close to the Keppner family describe the stepmother's role as a central factor in the tension. According to these accounts, Chantel Hudson regularly pitted her own children against her husband's, fostering an atmosphere of quiet hostility, two rival factions under one roof. In that environment of hidden aggression and unwanted physical behavior, Anna found herself heading into the confined space of a cruise ship cabin. When investigators combined the lock entry data, the autopsy findings, and witness testimony, a clearer timeline of Anna's final minutes emerged. Everything pointed not to a morning tragedy, but events that unfolded between 10 p.m. and midnight on November 6th. The argument Connor heard through the door escalated rapidly into a physical confrontation. Considering Anna's athletic background and self-defense skills, the attacker likely understood the danger of a direct assault. He used the cramped space to his advantage, approaching from behind. The forearm chokehold, documented by forensic specialists, would have incapacitated her within seconds. That also explains why no foreign DNA was found under Anna's nails. She had no chance to reach the attacker's face. Once it was over, the perpetrator faced a grim logistical problem. Connor could return at any minute. What happened next demonstrated chilling calculation. Instead of fleeing in panic, he had Anna's body hidden under the heavy frame of the king-size bed, covering it carefully with life jackets. That decision bought him 12 hours of silence. The darkest element of this reconstruction is what followed. Connor eventually returned, noticed nothing, and went to sleep. Through the entire night, 3 individuals remained in that tiny cabin: an unaware Connor, Anna's concealed body, and Tim Hudson, who, according to the camera logs, never left the room. He spent the night just a few feet from the consequences of his actions. On November 24th, investigators officially categorized Anna Keppner's death as a deliberate crime. The FBI continues building the case, and although Tim has not yet been formally charged, the theory of an accident has been completely ruled out. Meanwhile, the Carnival Horizon continues its regular Caribbean voyages. The cabin where the crime took place is once again occupied by guests who, while unpacking, likely have no idea what occurred there. This story stands as a stark reminder that the safety of cruise vacations is often an illusion, and sometimes when you check into your room, it's worth looking carefully at what might be hidden